So today, we are diving deep into the playbook of a leader who pulled off one of the most incredible corporate turnarounds we've seen in a long, long time. We're talking about Uber CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi.
So to get a sense of just how wild this turnaround was, you have to look at the numbers. When he took the wheel, Uber was just bleeding cash. We're talking a $3 billion loss every single year. And now, under his leadership, the company is churning out almost $10 billion in annual free cash flow. It's just staggering.
Okay, do the math on that. That is a $13 billion swing. So you gotta ask, right? How? How on earth did one person, one leader, engineer a change that massive? And here's the thing. The answer isn't something you're going to find in a business school textbook. It's not your typical CEO playbook, no. To really understand how he did it, you have to look way back to a formative experience from his childhood. We're talking about a revolution that literally changed everything for him. And that right there, that's really the core of what we're breaking down today. We're going to see how this leader was, well, forged by fire, and how the why from his past is directly connected to the how of his incredible success. All right, so let's get into it. His first lesson, and you could argue it's the most fundamental one, is pretty intense. Never feel safe. I mean, that single belief, it's the bedrock of his relentless drive. Okay, so picture this. It's 1978 in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. His family's world just gets completely turned upside down. They'd built this huge, successful company, and then poof, it was all gone. It got so bad that Revolutionary Guards actually fired bullets through their living room window. Can you imagine? At that point, his mother knew they had to get out. They fled, and he ended up in the US as a 9-year-old kid, a refugee.
You know, an experience like that, it doesn't just go away. It gets seared into your memory. He said it himself. That feeling of having the rug pulled out of you, that's a feeling that never leaves you. And that feeling created this core belief inside him. Never, ever take anything for granted. It's this sort of productive paranoia that still fuels his drive today.
But here's what's so interesting. That deep-seated insecurity, it didn't paralyze him, not at all. Instead, he channeled all of it directly into his second core principle, an absolutely unbreakable, non-negotiable work ethic. And he's not just talking the talk here, he puts this philosophy directly into action. He literally calls working hard the most important skill in life. His personal motto, I'm not going to let anyone outwork me. And you can see it baked right into Uber's culture, with values like embrace the grind. I mean, the guy sends emails on a Saturday. And if he doesn't hear back, you'll get a single question mark on Sunday. That tells you everything you need to know. So what do you do with that kind of drive? Well, it leads us straight to his third big principle, a serious commitment to radical transparency. And this is where we see a really fascinating paradox in how he leads. Yeah, check this out. It really illustrates the complexity here. In his personal life, he's open about being conflict avoidant. He doesn't like it. But professionally, totally different person. His whole thing is radical transparency. His message to the team is incredibly blunt. If you can't deal with the truth, you can leave. For him, this kind of brutal honesty is actually a defense mechanism. It's how he makes sure he's always getting the real, unfiltered story.
Okay, so all this drive, all this demand for the truth, it's all pointed at one single thing: finding huge, game-changing opportunities. And that brings us to his fourth lesson, which is all about how he sees the world, and more importantly, the future. He doesn't see it in a straight line. He sees it exponentially. His whole argument is that most of us, we see the future in a straight line, right? Linear growth. But he says the real opportunities, the ones that create truly massive value, they don't look like that. They follow this hockey stick curve. It's kind of flat for a while, slow growth, and then bam, it shoots straight up. The real gold, he says, is in that gap between what people think is going to happen and what the technology can actually do.
And believe it or not, there's actually an economic theory for this. It's called Jevons paradox. The basic idea is simple. When tech makes something way, way more efficient, we don't just use it a little bit more, we use it a ton more. And Uber is the poster child for this, right? It didn't just steal business from taxis. By making transportation so ridiculously convenient, it blew up the entire market for getting around. Okay, so you have these core principles: never feel safe, outwork everyone, tell the truth, and see exponentially. But how do they hold up against, the biggest disruption of our lifetime? Let's talk about the future he's staring right in the face, the rise of AI. And for Uber, the stakes here are just astronomical. I mean, think about it. They've built the single largest flexible workforce on the planet. We're talking more than 9.5 million drivers and couriers.
And this is where you really see his principles in action. True to form, he does not sugarcoat this threat one bit. This is his own prediction, and it's a stark one. AI will be able to replace the work of 70 to 80% of us within the next 10 years. He's applying that same radical, brutal honesty to the future of his own company, and, frankly, to all of us.
So you step back. After all the relentless grinding, the brutal honesty, the hockey stick thinking, what's really at the core of it all? What's the ultimate source of that fire? Well, it all comes back to that 9-year-old boy who had to flee a revolution. When someone asked him what truly motivates him, the answer was so simple. He just said, I just wanted to make my family proud. And that really brings us to the final thought here. His entire relentless drive, it was forged in loss and in this deep, powerful desire to rebuild what was taken. And it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What forges you?